Why, hello everybody! Welcome to another episode of Everyday EDC. My name is Tyler, and today we are reviewing the QSP Nokomis. So, the QSP Nokomis, just a quick overview for you guys, is a knife that I wasn't going to purchase. I wasn't going to get my hands on it. I really didn't care. It was one of those, let's get that off so you're not focused on that. It was one of those that just kind of, what the hell is that? You guys didn't see that. Nobody worry about that. It was one of those that was a filler. You know, anytime that you're ordering something and I'm trying to, you guys might not get it because it's not something that the average person does, but when I'm purchasing knives and I'm trying to find the next review knives that I'm going to do when I'm purchasing from a site versus like Reddit, I try to find knives that are really cool, and then I also try to find knives that fill the gaps. These gap-filling knives are a little bit cheaper, but they're also along the same brands, and I have to still find them interesting in order to order them. That's where the QSP Nokomis falls into play. Which, you know, he's on a show. He needs to look a little pretty. And the reason he doesn't look pretty is because I put this guy through the freaking ringer. So, first and foremost, this is an 8CR14 blade. It is a stainless steel liner, or stainless steel frame lock, which is, you know what? I talked about metal frame locks and whatnot. I truly do like them. I think I like most frame locks as long as it doesn't, you don't find a way to put your fingers on the frame to prevent it. The Kershaw bare knuckle was the only one that kind of falls through the gaps that I still love, even though it's very prominent that you can put your fingers on the frame lock. But this guy, so unfortunately we got T6 screw, T6 screw, T8 screw, another T6, 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 but you know, this blade shape with this Wharnecliffe style blade is extremely functional, and I'll get into a short story as to why I find this extremely functional. But we also have a deep carry pocket clip, which isn't very deep carry. You still got a good 1/4 inch of the knife sticking out. It's a fairly large knife with a pocket with a lanyard hole that's probably emphasized, which is why this doesn't sit any lower down. Ergonomically, it is not bad. It is not the best. That being said, for $27, guys, I'm not mad. I am not mad at this at all. The frame lock has a little bit of stick in it. You know, it's not perfect. And the one thing I did notice about this is, while I guess you could say the fit and finish is fine because one side's G10 and the other side is stainless steel. Let's see if I got my flashlight. I keep calling it my flashlight. This is not my flashlight. I got a whole mountain of junk here sitting on this desk. I should have cleaned this desk off first. I don't. But this is just a G10 frame with like a what do they call that? Like a canister insert right there that just holds that side so that the that the phosphor bronze washers are not running on just the G10. There's a steel insert right there. Wow. If anybody's still left with me after that one, welcome and thank you. As you can see, the action isn't the best. The detent kind of sucks. Like, I don't feel any real detent strength. Barely. Hold on. Like, it's just so soft. It's that's why it's difficult. You have to use your wrist to flick it open. $27. Okay. The inside, it has phosphor bronze washers. Interestingly enough, there's 5 in here. Now, please comment below if you guys have seen that before. I'm guessing due to less stringent tolerances, they put 5 in there to kind of make the difference. Because I tried to take one out just to see what would happen, and it was all jacked up. So, as you can see, completely and utterly center. Let's try to get you guys a fair view of it. Where the frick? Right there. So, completely and utterly center. The action's nothing great. No back and forth, no up and down. The frame is easy enough to access. Then again, it does have a little bit of frame stick. And I'm telling you all these bad things to tell you I actually really like this knife. In hand, the ergonomics feel great. The lockup is solid, and the blade shape is so functional. we had our second Christmas, if you will, due to COVID and everything. We had to go, postpone our Christmases by 2 weeks. So I just had my second Christmas last Saturday. So we had a bunch of boxes to break down, right? I probably had about 6 or 7 big boxes to break down. And when I break them down, I make use of my knife. I'd probably cut each box 4 to 12 times, depending on whether or not I'm taking off the lips on the outside. And these boxes are large. I mean, large boxes. So you can factor 6 times 12 or even 6 times 8. You're looking at 48 cuts that are at least a foot to 2 feet long. And that gets you to about 100 feet of cardboard that this thing processed before it wasn't shaving arm hair. And I did that on purpose. I really didn't use this, and then I processed all that cardboard, and it wasn't shaving arm hair afterwards. But in the process of doing so, this thing performed like a champ, and it went through just like butter, and it was comfortable to do. I just sat on the couch, watched some TV, and just went to town. I truly do like this knife. Will I recommend it for $27? We'll see at the end, that like what my overall recommendation is, because I'm kind of going over the whole end portion of it while talking about this. But let's get back into the more, a little bit more about the knife. So we got some jimping going on right here. 2 back spacers, they're just blah. G10 with no chamfering, really. It's rounded, it's not squared, but it's not really chamfered that well. Some stainless steel on the other side, that it's not sharp, it's just angled so that the edges are knocked down, but you can tell they cut a lot of costs there. The blade itself is kind of sharp. It takes off a little bit of your fingernail. Again, for $27, none of these things are really, I can't really judge these on a $27 knife. So what's left over is we got thumb studs here. A little bit of interesting jimping on this stainless steel lock right here, this lock bar. And just a lockup bar right there. That's how this is all put together. It's very basic. You could tell that the tolerances weren't incredibly tight when they did this. And it's just, a straightforward knife. For somebody that likes a little bit larger Wharnecliffe style for $27, that's where you're falling into. So let's get you guys some specs. Then we'll go into some size comparisons, and I will kind of recap what I just said in a shorter manner because I kind of took my time blitzing through that. And we will go into overall thoughts. So this comes in at a whopping 4.5 ounces, which isn't surprising. It's a large knife with a steel frame lock. You guys won't see it, but I put a little bit of magic behind the scenes because I was not prepared for this review. All right, I'm going to try something different on this guy, and the cheaper knives are usually my testers anyways. So first, let's get you guys a blade stock thickness. It's not too incredibly thick, 130 thousandths, and the behind the edge thickness is coming right in at about, is that right? 30 thousandths? Yeah, it's coming right in about 30 thousandths behind the edge. So it is not your ultimate slicing machine. This is like, in my opinion, half an inch thick. That's not my opinion, that is fact. But this knife reminds me of a knife that, the everyday guy can appreciate just having a functional tool in his pocket. Overall height in your pocket's 1.38, which is about a quarter of an inch. Why would you say this? Quarter of an inch, I call it height, so it wouldn't be shorter. I guess it would be shorter. A quarter of an inch shorter than, say, the PM3. A little bit more than that. All right, here's where we're going to try something new. Instead of busting out ye old tape measure, I am going to try and zoop. Nope, it doesn't give me the length to do that. Ye old tape measure must come out. But I can also do this. The blade length coming in at, wedge that guy there, kind of what's it out. Do this here. You guys are going to make fun of me, but that doesn't work either. I'm not doing that. We're just going to go back to ye old tape measure. I seen a reviewer do it, and I was like, that's cool. I can kind of combine everything. And then, no thank you. I'm not that successful with this. Zoop. Zoop. All right, so overall length coming in at just shy of 8 1/4. The blade length is coming in at 3 3/4, and the cutting edge is coming in at just about 3 1/2. Let's get you guys some size comparisons. As you guys know, I usually do a lot of size comparisons. Purpose for all the size comparisons is not to flex and be like, hey, look at all my knives. It's actually to say, hey, if you guys own a knife, any one of these knives, you can compare it to the one on the table. So as you can see, here's your Rat Model 1, and it is shorter in length. It's shorter in blade, but longer in handle. Overall length, realistically, the Rat Model 1 has got it by maybe 1/8 of an inch. And it is much longer than the Rat Model 2. Make sure. I made a mistake before to putting that in the view of the camera there. Here's your Civivi Doris. This is my conventionally small knife for Civivi. And your Civivi Dogma. Again, not a very large knife by Civivi, but I like showing it off because she's so pretty. Let's center these for you guys so you're not like, why the hell are these not centered? Alright. As you can see, it's much longer than both. And the Doris has it in height. It's a little bit fatter, but, you know, I love my Doris. Don't call my Doris fat. You guys will be talking with me, you know what I mean? Here is my Qsp Copperhead, one of its QSP brethren. And if I had my other QSP back, I would have shown that. But it is currently in transit and not quite here yet. So here is your mini feldspar and your QSP Copperhead. As you can see, it's a little bit longer than your Copperhead, but your Copperhead's a little bit more robust and does have a farther time to come down with this flat grind. This is still a flat grind here, but it doesn't have quite as much blade to get as narrow behind the edge. And then we also have the mini feldspar. It's longer than both of these knives. And then last, but certainly not least, we have your Spyderco Paramilitary 3 and your Spyderco Manix 2. So it's a little bit longer than your Manix 2, not quite as tall, and it's much longer than your PM3, but once again, not quite as tall. If you guys couldn't see and didn't see the video, oh man, I got some work to do with acid etching, but I don't think that turned out too bad. Pat myself on the back. Okay, moving on. Don't do it because I kind of jacked up the action. It's super gritty. Gotta fix that. What are my overall thoughts on the QSP Nokomis? So realistically, overall for $27, I know it is getting saturated. For $5 more, you could venture into a feldspar or a large feldspar or any of the CJRBs. I mean, they got the CJRB Barranca, the Tala, all that stuff. So this is what you're competing with. CJRB crushes this knife in action. It crushes this knife, and I would say fit and finish because, I mean, just the stick of this lock bar after so much time, and it's still only locking up. Here, let's do a normal. Still locking up at maybe 30%, which is okay. So that's where CJRB takes it down. Fit and finish and action. So you're saying, well, what the hell is left? Ergonomics. I don't know that any CJRB quite beats this in ergonomics. There are some with the forward finger choil and whatnot, but realistically, this thing was so comfortable to cut with. I don't remember using those like that, so it's hard to judge. But I truly, truly believe that this was, I would do it all over again. I love doing it. I could have grabbed my Super Freak or anything like that, but I wanted to test this out, and I was so happy with the outcome. So the ergonomics are great. The blade shape is great. The blade steel 8CR14, that's another place where CJRB gets it. So can I recommend this knife? The long dramatic pause is not on purpose. Realistically, with all the CJRB models that are out there, I hate to say it, but it is leaps and bounds below what CJRB has to offer. Does that mean this is not an exceptional knife? It by no means does, clearly, because I've ranted and raved about this knife throughout this whole thing. But when you could spend $5 more and get a feldspar, or you can get, like I said, the Tala, the Barranca, the Crag, all these similar blade shapes. The Crag's not similar, but you get what I'm saying. The Wharnecliffe, Cleaver Blade, whatever. It's hard for me to say that this is better than that. I thoroughly enjoyed using this knife. I think this is a great knife for like an everyday I'm going to beat the shit out of it knife. But I can't recommend this knife when I can recommend the Penguin, for example. The Penguin comes in at $5 or $6 more than this. And yes, it's a much smaller piece, but it already starts off in D2. I mean, you're starting out in 8CR14 MOV, which I did cut quite a bit of boxes with it, but now I have to sharpen it. Like, it already lost its edge there, and I don't know that D2 would do that. I did save a lot of the boxes. Hint, hint. Testing may be coming up. But it's not, it just doesn't compete with those. For $30 more, you're rocking out with the same brand, QSP Copperhead. This, you guys know, is one of my favorite knives in the freaking budget world. And it is, look at that. Here's the action on my Copperhead. Insane quality. Insane fit and finish. As I say that, and I think I felt something move. But, oh my goodness. You can reverse flick it. So this isn't about the QSP Copperhead. This is to show you what they can do. And yes, it's $30 more, but it's like almost not the same brand. So while I love QSP, while this doesn't taint QSP, the price is exactly where it needs to be for what you're getting. You're falling just shy of the real players in the market. And unfortunately, you do not get my stamp of recommendation unless you just absolutely love QSP and you love the look of this knife. Then by all means go for it. It won't fail you. I like the knife. But there's better things out there for the price. My name is Tyler. This has been Everyday EDC. You guys stay sharp, stay safe. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great day.